Curiously, there was no mention of other women who had been attacked or murdered, and the omission was repeated in Manchester, when Jean's name was glaringly absent from all the rhetoric. Historians suggest that militant feminist groups, along with other sections of the public, became far more incensed by the murders when police action curtailed the attacks on sex workers, making other women more vulnerable, and the lack of solidarity was due to prostitutes being regarded as pandering to men's sexual demands, letting the side down in the struggle against male dominance. 25-year-old Marilyn Moore had one conviction for soliciting by 1977. Born in Leeds, she left home at 15 and married a year later, giving birth to a son and daughter. After her divorce, Marilyn began hustling, as she called it, moving between Leeds, Bradford, London and Slough to avoid detection. At only 5 feet tall, she was petite but voluptuous, with red hair and an animated face. "I didn't like doing it, but the benefits that you got then wasn't worth bringing your kids up." Marilyn relates, "You're always worried that you're going to get attacked or you're going to get mugged or out like that with a punter." With her 6-year-old son and 1-year-old daughter temporarily in care, Marilyn had no fixed abode, but stayed with a close friend whenever she was in Leeds. 51-year-old Peter Sutcliffe lived in the Bayswaters, among the tall red brick back-to-back terraces in Hare Hills, a short walk from the Gaiety. Once a thriving industrial district, Hare Hills had become another deprived community, where low rents attracted impoverished locals and immigrants who began their own businesses, shops and restaurants. Sutcliffe later claimed to have no idea that Marilyn worked as a prostitute. He assumed she was with friends when she went out or stayed away in Bradford, Halifax and further afield. On Wednesday the 14th of December 1977, Marilyn told Sutcliffe that her friend Beverly hadn't turned up as promised, so she was calling on her instead, and expected to be home around 11 p.m. After visiting Beverly's house on Gaythorne Terrace behind the Gaiety, Marilyn made her way to Chapeltown. The area around Spencer Place was, she recalls, the biggest red area, the hottest place. It was a mild evening as she walked along Leopold Street. A man approached her for sex, but something about him made her turn him down. She became aware of a car cruising the area a little after 8 p.m. and retraced her route, heading down Spencer Place to meet it. When the car passed, she walked on to Leopold Street and caught up with the dark-haired, bearded driver, who was standing next to his vehicle and waving at someone. As I approached him, he asked me if I was doing business. Marilyn remembers. I said yes. He didn't ask me how much. He said £5, so I said, OK, and I got into the car. Who were you waving at? Marilyn asked, as the driver turned the car towards Chapeltown Road. He replied that he was visiting his sick girlfriend and knew 2 prostitutes, Gloria and Hilary. Marilyn asked his name. He told me Dave, and I told him to call me Susan. Then he took me to a place I already knew because I've been to that place many times before. He pulled up. They had driven half a mile east, crossing Scott Hall Road, to head down Buslingthorpe Lane. Derelict warehouses and factories lined the road, which curved to the right beside Brown's, a clothing manufacturer. The car trundled down the unmade track alongside the factory. There's a sort of car park there, just grass and mud, and that's where he stopped, Marilyn recalls. I started unbuckling my right shoe, thinking we were going to stay in the front seat, but Dave said he wanted to go in the back of the car. It was a bit unusual, but I didn't mind, and because he seemed such a nice bloke. So I fastened my shoe and got out. 45-year-old Jimmy Pearson, who lived in a caravan in the nearby scrap metal dealer's yard, had noticed the vehicle. I was going out with my girlfriend, he stated afterwards, and we both saw a red or maroon-coloured car drive in. I saw figures which looked as though they were having a cuddle.